Asinine Radio. This is the weekly music podcast where every week we get into a different band, different artist, and we get into the music, how it was made, the lyrics, the artwork, and everything in between. My name is Tyler, and way out there, hundreds of miles away, is Jeff. While you're listening, go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, give us 5 stars, tell your friends, share all the posts. Watch on YouTube, smash that subscribe button. And we are in hip hop season. We are in 90s era hip hop. So we're doing a 90s record this week. What are we doing? What are we doing, Jeff? Go.
We're doing Nas's record, Illmatic.
Illmatic from 1994, his debut record. Now, some say this is the greatest hip hop record ever made. I disagree with that. But also, I'm just some white guy, who's not the biggest hip hop, fan of. I like hip hop a lot, but not the biggest fan. Like you're more of a fan than I am. So
is it the greatest though?
Some people say it's the greatest. Some people say
a lot of people say it's the greatest.
I disagree. But who the fuck?
I definitely don't think it's the Chronic. Like the Chronic, that's silly boy talk.
Okay. So let's get into. So we're doing Illmatic. Let's get into our origin story with Nas. What do you got? Go.
This was a record that took me many years, many moons to get into, to like, just because with the Pac thing, and we talked about it on the rankings. I've always been a West Coast guy, and I've had this really kind of like up and down relationship with Tupac. I've loved him for many years, then I hated him for many years, and listened to no Tupac for many years, and then loved him, and then go back and forth.
Yeah.
So for me, it was always West Coast, West Coast or die. But the more I kind of like got into the East Coast thing, I realized like, it's good. It's good stuffs. And there's stuffs outside of just like the native tongues. There's stuff outside of just the conscious hip hop, which the conscious hip hop stuff is really good. It's all good, but it's all very similar. And if your name isn't De La or Tribe, it's just like, okay, yeah. I get it. Like you sound the same. But then like Nas comes out and it's very gritty. It's very gangster rap while also like disowning the gangster rap title. And so Nas Illmatic took me many years to get into, probably like a decade to really get into, because I don't fucking know what it's like growing up, having to fight for food and
we have
having a gun on us when we're 17 years old. I don't fucking know what that's like.
We grew up in the suburbs here, and it's just like, we have no idea what it was like growing up in the projects or anything like that.
It's not even just like the suburbs. It's West Coast. We don't give a fuck out here.
Yeah. Like
things that people care about in New York because it's cold as shit in the winters and hot as fuck in the summers. And Southern California, like, it's pretty nice all year round. Like, you don't really give a fuck about anything. Like the gang warfare out here, it's wild. But it's not like
we were separated from it. And we were also separate. I mean, we live next to LA, but it's just like we never, until we were adults, we never drove through Compton. We never drove through Inglewood or the bad parts of LA until we were grown ass adults. Like when we were kids, scary as fuck. Like I had no idea. I mean, it's kind of scary.
And all that was like done with, but not done with, but it was a lot tamer by the time we were even, 10, 15 years old, right? Like late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, we were born in 1987.
It was already over.
Yeah, we were born in 87. So we were very young through the worst of it, or not even born, if you look at the 70s and shit. But anyway.
But yeah, it took me many years to get into Nas, and it took many people telling me, dude, you should listen to Nas. It's so fucking good. Illmatic's so fucking good. And at first I was like, nah, man, fuck East Coast, fuck Biggie, fuck everybody from there. And then it was kind of like, oh, okay. Because I went to like a really predominantly Mexican middle school, and it was very, very West Coast there. And then it went from like, nah, fuck East Coast, I don't do like that shit, to like, okay, well, like, nah, fuck like 90s East Coast stuff. I only do like 80s stuff, and like the golden era of hip hop, which like nobody really called it that until fairly recently, the past like 15 years or so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It took me a long time.
All right. I mean,
honestly, I'm still getting into it.
So with Nas, like I said, I'm very much a newcomer to hip hop. I didn't really start getting into hip hop properly until post high school. Like there were songs here and there that I always really liked. Obviously, like some of the Dre songs, the Eminem stuff, I really enjoyed. But it wasn't until post high school, so post 2005, where I really started taking a deep dive into hip hop, and especially conscious hip hop through, some guys I used to work with at Tower Records. They were super into conscious hip hop, underground hip hop. I was introduced to a lot of shit there. Friend of the pod, David Bradley, got into a lot of it. But the first time I ever heard Nas was actually through Korn. So the band Korn, they had a song off their 2003 record called Play Me, and Nas is on that song. He sings like 2 verses of the song. Him and Jonathan Davis switch, parts and shit like that. And it's not that great of a song. It's just really not that great of a song. And even back then, Korn's my favorite band. But even back then, and up to this day, I still kind of skip the song. It's cheesy. It's very, very cheesy. But that was my first exposure to Nas was in 2003 with Korn, through Korn. Also with like Farside. First time I ever heard Farside was because of Korn, because what's his name? Forgot his name right now, but was on a Korn song. So I learned actually a lot of hip hop.
Kid 3, Booty Brown, Imani.
I think it was Slim Kid 3. I think. What the fuck was it? Anyway, I learned quite a bit of hip hop through Korn. But anyway, that was my first thing with Nas was that particular song.
Sure.
But then, as the years progressed, like I would listen to him like, this is cool, it's good. But it's grown on me. This record Illmatic has grown on me. And this week, man, it's a fantastic record. It really, really is good. Even though I can't relate to any of it at all. Once again, just some white kid grew up in Orange County.
But that's the point, though. Like the point of this record specifically is not. I mean, this is like the overall aesthetic of hip hop, I think, and that was a big problem of why people hated like Vanilla Ice, why people hated the Sugar Hill Gang, was because it was telling a story that wasn't theirs. Like this is Nas telling a story that is his,
yeah,
and relating it to people that have no fucking idea. Like, no, we don't know what it was like growing at the projects. But now I kind of have a general understanding because of the way you told me the story. Because of how great of a writer you are, I can now empathize and put myself in your situation and get it. Whereas like Sugar Hill Gang and Vanilla Ice, right? MC Hammer and these fucking guys, like nobody, like the fuck out of here. It's goofy ass hip hop that did nothing for the genre, nothing for the scene. Whereas like Nas, on the other hand, it brought people in. It brought people in, not just to like hip hop, but like storytelling. Like, dude, the guy's just a good storyteller.
He's a very good storyteller. Yeah. And honestly, like half the record, there's some great lyrics, just some great storytelling. But then the other half is just like, it's kind of the same old thing you hear in hip hop. Just like, I think every song is great. Every song is a banger. But the way I kind of wrote everything down was like, I did it all by lyrics. My favorite lyrics. And I have a top five songs off this record. I think lyrically there's like a solid 5 songs lyrically. All the other stuff is very much just him like talking about himself, how great he is, or how like, how he's like the king of Queensbridge and shit like that. And it's just very machismo hip hop that most hip hop is, especially in the 90s. That's really
we'll get into some of those concepts because I think he does do that, but I think he does it in a way where it's like this weird confessional where he's saying that I am so great, but I wish I didn't have to grow up like this. And I think there's a tragic tale in not just Nas's story, but like Queensbridge.
Yeah.
It's just like I don't know. I don't know. I'm sure like there's a lot of places out there that are just as poor and fucking terrible, but it's like, dude, if you see like the projects where this kid grew up in, it's like, dude, this is like fucking straight up slavery. You can't just stick people there and expect them to behave. Are you crazy?
Yeah, I know. It's
like, are you nuts. Fucking stupid?
In the midst of like the crack epidemic and all that kind of shit that was going on, like the government
that's crazy talk
coming in and all that shit. Yeah, it's fucking insane. It's fucking insane.
Like you're giving children like loaded guns, right?
Yeah.
You're telling them to go do whatever the fuck they want with those guns, and then when they do something with those guns, you like scold them and get mad at them and arrest them. And that's like living in these projects, man. That would it's prison. Like it's fucking prison.
Yeah.
And that would make anybody crazy. I don't give a fuck where you're from, who you are. That would make anybody crazy.
Agreed.
And Nas overall like tells us like, this is where I'm from, but I hate it. And I wish it wasn't like this. And there's a lot of times in this record, man, like I feel bad, dude. You feel it's sad. you think like, dude, this guy was robbed of a childhood. This guy was robbed of his adolescence, of his innocence. He came out the womb, guns blazing, right? He always talks about coming out the womb, firing shots. It's like, dude, this kid was robbed of his innocence.
He was, yeah.
And he knows it. And that's what sets him apart from like other rappers, other like gang members, other hood kids, is that he knows it and he wishes it wasn't so. But like, he knows he's got to survive, and he does whatever he can. And he tells us that, and that's, it's so good.
It is. It's excellent. Like I said, his storytelling is fantastic. It really, really is fantastic. You mix that with his flow, the way he rhymes words. I mean, the guy is phenomenal. He really, really is, and he deserves every bit of credit he has, and plus more. Like, when you look at what he's sold over his career, it pales in comparison to your Jay-Z's, to your Dre's, and everything. And not to discredit any of those guys, but you know, it just
I deserves Jay-Z.
Jay-Z is great. You and I talked about this off the pot. Jay-Z is fantastic. He's one of the top MCs. Like, he really, really is fantastic. But he's a hustler. Like, he is literally only in it for the money. Like, you read about him, and it's just like he was dealing drugs on the street, making a shit ton of money. He liked to rap, but he did it on the side, but he wasn't making enough money rapping. So he kept dealing, and then he got into business with, I forgot the other guy who started Rockefeller with him, but it just became a business. It wasn't even about the message. It wasn't about the music, anything like that. The culture. It was literally about making money, and that's it. Which no knocked him on. Well, I am knocking him. I am knocking him for it. But I mean, that's literally what it was. It had nothing to do with the culture. But once again, that doesn't take away from the fact that Jay-Z is a fantastic MC. Fantastic MC. Like, top 10 easily, maybe top 5 of all time. Jay-Z is. Like, you can't deny
top 5, but I would
top
say
10 for sure. 100%.
Top 10.
He's definitely up there. But he's only in it for the money, nothing else.
He's a dick.
But Nas,
aesthetically, he's a dick.
Nas is very much about the culture, his upbringing, everything that hip hop is about. That's what Nas is, and Nas is like the kind of counterculture to gangster rap. You know, not the counterculture, but he brought the hip hop, the conscious hip hop to gangster rap. Like, he infused the two things into one, and he just made gangster rap so much more sophisticated and so much more personal to not just, the black community, but also, like we talked about, to people outside of the projects, outside of the black community, like us. Who the fuck are we? Like, we can't relate to them, but we can empathize with them.
Yeah.
So,
and that's, like hip hop and punk music really go hand in hand. They are kind of like very of the same coin there. They're kind of railing against the same system. They both are different in certain aspects and how they're going about it and where they stem from. And there's a massive history and culture with hip hop over punk music, but they're both kind of very much of disenfranchised people, right? And punk music is very, at its core, punk music is supposed to be very welcoming, here is just like your platform. You do your thing. I will support you because you're doing it. And at its core, hip hop is also that. Hip hop was very, I respect you because you're doing it. I don't like what you're doing, and it sounds like garbage. I'm going to fucking make fun of you and put you down as much as I can, but I'm still going to buy your tickets. I'm still going to come to your show. And I'm still going to be supportive. And that's like what the punk, aesthetic should still continue to be. So I think Nas is bringing a lot of like the punk back to hip hop, because hip hop has been, especially the punk ethos of it, especially like post Native Tongues, man. Like Native Tongues and the conscious movement of the New York style that's what prompted gangster rap. It's like, dude, that's not what we're all like. I talked about last week, as I'm black too. Yeah, like that's not what we're all like. It's like we live very different lives. And the East Coast and West Coast are very, very different places. And West Coast, we just don't give a fuck about things out here the way they do in the East Coast, because our summers are mild, our winters are mild. I don't live on the West Coast anymore. I keep saying we, but like I grew up there, so I gotta know. Like your summers aren't that bad, your winters aren't that bad. Nothing's that bad in the West Coast. It's like, what are you really fucking mad about? Like, even if you're poor in the West Coast, but you sleep outside, okay, you do it. It's 75 degrees, 300 days out of the year. Oh, okay. There's plenty of people that'll give you free food and fucking put you up. Okay. It's not that bad. Whereas like the East Coast is bad, dude. It's fucking cold as shit there. And it gets fucking hot and it gets humid. So these people that are poor, that have no air conditioning, that have no place to live, that have no place to go, like I get why you're mad. And times that by generations, right? Times that by 200 years. Cat. Times that by 200 years, I get why these people are mad. I get it.
I get it. I know. Well, that's just one reason why they're mad. They're mad for a lot of reasons. That's not a big reason, but it's a reason, yes.
Dude, East Coast sucks, man. Fuck that entire coast. Like, fuck that. Like, there's no greater place to live. Like, money aside, rent aside, there's no greater place to live on Earth than Southern California.
Southern California is
best place that you could possibly live. If money was no issue, and if there was no problem, Southern California, dude, that is the greatest place to live on Earth.
Laguna Beach. If I had,
fuck, man.
Dude, if I had unlimited money, I would have a house in Laguna Beach. Laguna Beach is one of my favorite cities I've ever been to. I fucking love Laguna Beach. But anyway, geography, right? Back to Nas, Illmatic. Let's get it. So we have no stinkers, right? No stinkers.
No stinkers. No stinky sticks.
So so banger wise, how many bangers do you have? I have the 5. How many do you have?
I did the same thing as you. I kind of just went by like singles that were released, and then I had a couple of my own extra ones. So even though like I do think everything has its place here.
Agreed.
There's only 3 songs because I have a lot of notes. So I figured like, we're gonna do that thing where we talk about 3 songs and just run through them. I have 3 songs that I have a fuck ton of notes for.
Okay.
The first one obviously being New York State of Mind.
That's my 1B. I think
the biggest one. That's the most important.
Yeah. Lyrically, I think it's the best on the record too.
Yeah.
Because and in the end, we're not going to talk too much about the music. Because actually, let's talk about the music real quick. So DJ Shadow did did like a good chunk of the record. The production was LES. I don't remember who. It was mostly DJ
Premier.
Oh yeah, DJ Premier. Yeah. Sorry.
Premier, Pete Rock, which Pete Rock and CL Smooth, that first record they did, Mecca, do that. That's why I wanted you to listen to it. I put on the fucking notes. That record's fucking amazing. That was released early 90s, a couple years before this one, and it's just absolutely unreal, absolutely amazing. But like Nas hooked up with Pete Rock, like in the early 90s, you got Pete Rock here, you got DJ Premier, you got LES, you got Large Professor, and you got Q-Tip. Like how the fuck did this kid, right? How the fuck did this little 18-year-old get all of these massive producers in New York to take time out of their day, take time out of their fucking lifestyle and say, I got you. And that's because
it's just
great.
Like, so watching that documentary Hip Hop Evolution and watching the episode, the part about Nas and everything, that blew me away that all these big fucking producers in the area, they wanted to work with Nas. And not only that, Nas had they were like, who do you want to work with? And he was like, I want to work with this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. Like he had free range to choose whoever he wanted to work with. The guy was unsigned. He had 2 songs out at that point, or maybe 1 song. Live at the Barbecue was
one verse out. He had one verse out.
Live at the Barbecue.
One kind of,
And it's just like
the main source record.
I get it. I get Nas is great. He really, really is fantastic. But it's just, it still kind of blows. I'm also not from the projects. I'm not a black guy or anything like that. So I'm probably missing a lot of the nuances to it, but I don't understand why he was so sought after. He is fantastic, but for a guy who, he's done a lot of freestyling and all that kind of stuff and battle rapping and all that kind of shit, to be given the choice of like, I want to work with the best of the best in the area, that blew my mind.
Dude,
like blew my fucking mind.
West Coast hip hop is dominating. It's because Dre dropped a fucking record in 1992 called The Chronic that you think is the greatest of all time. That could very well be the greatest of all time. And what does East Coast do? Like we talked about earlier, like I don't know a lot about East Coast because I've only been there a couple times. I fucking hate it. I'll never go back. But what I do know about like New Yorkers and shit is like they are very prideful of how horrible their city is and how they will die by their fucking city. Man, fuck that city. So I do know that no matter what project you're from, no matter what borough you're from, you still have New York pride, which I guess I can respect that. And so when Dre drops like The Chronic and West Coast style is blowing up and they are just taking over the world, dude, they're taking over hip hop. They're taking over music. Snoop Dogg is bigger than life. Like they are Rockaware before Rockaware, right? Like New York or West Coast was selling clothes, was selling shoe lines, was selling a lifestyle, and New York had nothing. They had no clapback.
I disagree with you on that because Run DMC started all of that with the Adidas and all that kind of shit. So East Coast really did start that. West Coast took that.
They didn't start it. I'd say they were on top of the world at the time in the early 90s.
Okay.
New York had no clapback. So what does New York do? They say, okay, well, like obviously the native tongues thing isn't working out. Like they're not selling as many records, even though it's great, even though they should be selling more records. It's not profitable in like a sense of mainstream marketing, right? That's not blowing us up.
Yeah.
What do we do? Where do we go from here? And this is before Biggie, right? Like this is before the East Coast West Coast rivalry.
2 months
so
before
what do
Biggie's
we do?
record came out.
We had this guy. We had this guy Nas who is telling our story. Who's not just telling New York story. He's telling like the black man's story, but he's telling it in a way that makes sense to everyone. And so, yeah, I do get it. I get why people are hearing this kid's rap on the main Source record and thinking like, God damn, it is perfect. Like this guy just said in fucking 30 seconds what we've been trying to tell you in fucking 12 years. And I think that's why everybody wanted to work with Nas. Because it was the next thing. I think it's more like we're putting all our chips on the table. Fuck, man, I hope this works out.
That's kind of what I feel. And it's kind of what I feel it was. Because it's like, dude, imagine, because the Q-Tip song is fantastic. It's the standout. It's not my favorite song on the record, but the Q-Tip song is hands down the standout on the entire
production wise.
Yeah, production wise, hands down the best song on the record. Can you imagine if Q-Tip and Nas did an entire record? Like if this entire record was produced by Nas? Because I mean, DJ Premier, he's good. He is really, really good. P-Rock,
dude,
all that
Gangstar's
stuff,
amazing.
Fucking, it's great.
Dude, P-Rock, CL Smooth. I mean, that P-Rock was fucking a god in the early 90s as far as production wise.
When you throw it up against what Nas is doing with his lyrics, his flow, everything like that, his delivery, it doesn't. What all the other producers were doing just didn't match up to what Nas was doing. Like Nas is fantastic. I mean, he really, really is great, and there are some good songs on here. But had somebody like Q-Tip or somebody, RZA or somebody, else in the New York scene had jumped into the production duties on this record, I feel like it could have elevated this record above the Chronic. It could have put it above a lot of like major hip hop of the 90s. I feel like the production is the worst. Some of the production on here is the worst part of the record. And that's not a knock on the record because the record is fantastic. But there were better producers at the time. And I get it. Nas was doing what he knew. He was 20 when he made this record. I think he was 20 when he made this record. And this is just, if he had worked with different producers, I think it would have blown up way more than it actually did.
I kind of like gravitate towards the opposite end of that spectrum. I think that if this was more spoken word, I think this would have been fucking
spoken word.
The bee's knees, dude. I think this would have been absolutely really fucking bonkers. Like dumb it down, dude. Get quiet with it. Like stop playing so much. And I get it. I get like Gangstar. I had like 2-3 albums out prior to this, and like Gangstar's fucking classic. DJ Premier's classic. Ooh la la, wee wee, right? Like the RTJ4.
I know, yeah.
Classic. So like, these are producers that people want to work with, that Nas wants to work with, that is up and coming, and he's 18 and they're already mid 20s.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they don't. I don't think they add anything great. I don't think they take away anything great.
Because Nas is too good.
I think Nas could have just straight up fucking dropped a spoken word thing. At least just give me the last track that is just spoken word. That is just
would have been sick.
Gritty, dirty, nasty. Like fucking drop it, call it a day.
Yeah.
Now I feel gross.
So let's I know. Okay, let's get into the New York state of mind. What are your thoughts on this one? Yeah, Alicia Keys. What do you got?
So annoying. One of my favorite like rap lyrics too is that Jay-Z 99 Problems when he talks about getting pulled over by the cop and the cop's like, son, do you know why I'm stopping you, foe? And he's like, why? Because I'm young and I'm black and my hat's real low. I'm not a mind reader, sir. I don't know.
Dude,
It's just like, it's so good. It's so,
that song is incredible.
It's so childishly disrespectful, and I fucking love that shit. So anyway,
whenever that song comes on, Tammy turns it up like extra loud during that break with it. She loves that part.
Son, do you know what I'm stopping you for?
Because he says it like he says it like in a nasally way, like a higher nasally way, when he plays the cop.
Son, do you know what I'm stopping you for?
Yeah.
And they'll say four, they say foe. That's like gangster style. So foe. Course, you know, I'm stopping you foe.
Because I'm young and I'm black. Yeah.
And my hat's real low.
I know. It's a fucking great
song. Put your head up. Anyway, yeah. Or, put your head up. So produced by DJ Premier here, New York State of Mind. We get that cool kind of eerie Donald Byrd trumpet wail. And later on, we get that super dark, like descending piano riff by Joe Chambers. And I only know these guys too, because now that I go to like the whosampled.com website, I'm like, oh shit, dude, we sell this fucking record all the goddamn time. Like, damn, that's cool. So not like I'm going to listen to all these people, but I think it's fun for me personally to see, like, put a name to the face type of thing. Like we do sell that Donald Byrd record a lot. Every time we get in, it sells. And some of our more hip hop minded people come into the store and they buy it. So now I'm going to ask them and talk to them more. That was kind of weird though. All the DJs are fucking weird, but whatever. That's a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
There's that pulsating beep that starts and ends the song, right? Kind of gives us that effect of like immediacy and like the need to always be on or on guard. And he starts to drift in the middle there on like the daydream thing, only to be snapped back into reality by that same little beeping thing. But like this song, dude, this song is like rife with literary devices. And this is what really puts Nas into like the upper echelon of great songwriting. And it's not just about like what he's saying, but how he's saying it. Similes, metaphors, alliteration, personification.
His wordplay is so fucking
well crafted.
Yeah, agreed.
Well crafted.
I also love the songs where, like, this song is a good example of it, where the verse will be about one thing. Like it's the same overall theme, but like the first verse will tell one story, the second verse will tell a different story, but it's still all under the same umbrella, the same theme. And I just, like, the first verse in this song is about getting in a gunfight. His story of getting in a gunfight, talking about how, like, people running, like women running away screaming, and then he realizes his gun got jammed. He looks into the barrel. He sees that three are still in the chamber or something like that, and then he runs into the lobby of the building to get away. It's just like, I'm really dumbing it down and making it sound really stupid, but his wordplay and the way he flows and everything. Like it's a captivating story. Like it's one verse, but like the world building within that one verse is unreal. Like I in my mind, I just build this entire thing. He's just,
it's 40 seconds.
Great wordplay. Great lyrics.
Like 40 seconds, and we're transported right next to Nas in that first verse. Like his storytelling next to the beat, like allows us to be right next to him as shit goes down.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about the first part, like the gun violence, is like how young he is when he wrote this, right? Like being young and understanding that gun violence and gang culture is something that's inescapable and part of life in the projects. And that's a common theme that he'll bring up over and over throughout this is I have to do this because the Mandalorians, this is the way, no matter what. But also, like, he understands there has to be another way to survive outside of these things and how, like, detrimental they are to the well-being of everybody in the projects. But what am I going to do? And as we see Nas talk about, like as the song progresses, we see him talk about a deeper sense of mortality, right? The line where he compares himself to Scarface holding the M16, but also says that, like, he's more dangerous than with a pen. Like, what he says on paper is more dangerous than what he can do with a machine gun. It's not a machine gun, like an assault rifle, but beyond like the walls of intelligence, life is defined. I love this line so much. I think this is him saying that, like, you're defined kind of by your mistakes, by the bad decisions and choices that you make, because what you can see, like, you know, in your normal kind of like plane is just like the hood life, and you can be captured by it, and you can fully embrace it, and you can go to jail from it, as we'll talk about later. But like, it's what you do outside of that really defines you, right? Like, what's that cool Batman? There's a cool Batman line I wanted to say in here, but I forgot. I even wrote, say cool Batman line. But I can't remember the Batman line. So that's completely lost.
But see, that's the thing. It's like throughout this entire record, he talks about like, you know, like he understands like he's in a bad situation. He's talking about like almost like he's very positive about his life and possible trajectories he has in what he wants to do and all that kind of stuff. But then like you'll get that like in the first verse, like this positivity, this optimism, and then the second and third verse will go into like, well, you know, I'm just some kid from the projects, you know, from Queensbridge with all the junkies around, and you know, I'm kind of like the best guy in the best guy in the area, the best guy in the hood, and all this kind of shit. And it's just like I get like you get this initial optimism, but then it immediately crashes down around you once you look at your surroundings. I get that, but then like, what am I trying to say here? Like,
see, you can
only hear so much of that on a record. Like like half the songs on this record are like that. It starts out very optimistic, like getting out, or not getting out, but just like being very optimistic in life. And then it just then you go back to your normal ways. You go back to, you know, seeing the junkies around and just doing the same old thing every fucking day.
See, I don't think he ever thinks he's better than anybody, because
no, I don't know.
Whenever he's being braggadocious, whenever he's talking about how great he is, it's always undercut. It's always undermined by like, well, but like, I know I can end up in jail, but I hang out with homies that are fucking douchebags and assholes
on some songs. Yeah.
But on every song, even like up until the very last song, like everything that he does, that he thinks that he's so great, is always undercut by him being a kind of product of his environment, and realizing that I want to get out of this because this is not the way like anybody should fucking live.
Yeah.
But also I can't get out of this because if I try to get out of this, it's going to kill me. I'm going to end up in jail or I'm going to die. But I also looked at that Batman quote too. I had to Google it. It's a good quote. It loses all its meaning now because I have to fucking explain it. But like Rachel Dawes said it to Bruce Wayne. I think it was, Maggie Gyllenhaal. Mm-hmm. She's no. It was Katie Holmes, but not Katie Holmes. Was it Katie Holmes?
Yeah, Katie Holmes was in the first one. Yeah.
Yeah, before she got fired.
Batman Begins.
Psychopath.
Yeah.
She she says it's not. She's a weirdo though. She says it's not who
better,
you are.
Better Rachel though than Maggie. Maggie was good. Maggie was great.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I know I'm right. I'm always right.
But you can't keep Katie Holmes in there. There's no way. You can't. You had to get rid of her. She says it's not who you are underneath, but what you do that defines you, right? And that's like Nas. And Nas constantly struggles with this inner turmoil. He says, this is not who I am, but he continues to do it over and over and over. He says, I am not a gangster. I am not a thug. He doesn't like fucking rapping in front of people. He's not like doing anything. He's a very shy kid. But dude, you have to, or you will not survive. And he knows that. It's a survival of the fittest thing. And even this conversation that we're having here, we're thrust into this thing that we have no idea about. That is wild, dude. That is crazy. That is insane that somebody could write these things and have this conversation going on. That's crazy.
Once again, it's just like we have no connection to this life at all. Like this lifestyle, or not lifestyle is not the right way to put it, but this what's the way to put it? Not lifestyle, because this is not what they chose. It's a
lifestyle,
but it's not what they chose.
But that's the battle here. Is that he is choosing to do this? But what is the other option? Is death?
Yeah,
right. Imprisonment. And then like later on, he'll talk about like, I don't want to fucking hang out with homies. I don't want to hang out with hood kids. I don't want to hang out with these fucking douchebags. But like, what am I going to do? They're going to fuck me up if I don't. I can't walk by them without saying hi. I can't walk by them without smoking a joint. I can't walk by them without showing them my gun. I can't walk by them without ripping my fucking project. You can't do these things.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is like not, dude, this just even like this first verse did more for hip hop than like Sugar Hill, MC Hammer, all of these groups ever did for hip hop. And like the whole point of hip hop, like the hip hop was started, right? Like in the black community in the Bronx, to give these people like an out, to give these guys an out from the horrible things that are going on in New York, to give them a place to vent and let loose and to tell their story. And like, yeah, like, you know, the Chronic's cool and stuff. What the fuck story is that telling? It's not telling a story. It's just telling what a bunch of douchebags they are under great production. Like Nas is telling a story. Nas is telling something. I mean, yeah, he's saying something.
Definitely Nas is a better storyteller than your Ice Cubes and shit like that. Ice Cube, I mean, no knock against Ice Cube because his lyrics are wild and they're fucking, sounds like he's going to beat the shit out of you. But, you know, yeah, Nas definitely takes it to a more nuanced level. Then
this is okay. So like, I didn't put it on the list either, but like America's Most Wanted, Ice Cube's first record, America's KKK.
I've actually listened to that record.
That record's so fucking good. That record is like stands up against like NWA.
I think
the Chronic without the production. This is just a better America's Most Wanted.
Okay.
A more thought out, a more thoughtful America's Most Wanted.
Yeah, because I mean, honestly, Ice Cube is a really underrated MC, underrated lyricist. I mean, because he's always overshadowed by Dre, and Eazy-E, which is insane to me because if it wasn't for Ice Cube, Eazy-E would not have Boys in the Hood. I mean, that is a fucking Ice Cube song. Like, yeah, I mean, he's with all of his acting career, he's very, very famous and all that kind of shit. But as a rapper MC, he is absolutely underrated. He's one of the best West Coast.
Good fucking songwriter, man. He's just a good songwriter.
And talk about one of the most commanding voices in hip hop, if not the most commanding voice in hip hop. Like the only one you can compare Ice Cube to would be Chuck D from Public Enemy. Like when it comes to like really like, oh my God, I'm kind of scared of this guy.
Yeah.
It would be Ice Cube.
Yeah.
Even when he talks, like you watch like interviews with Ice Cube, you're like, damn, dude. I'm kind of.
It's almost. I would be
scared to talk to
you. He goes like this. He goes like, yeah. Always like bobbing and like he has a noodle neck all the time. Yeah.
Noodle neck.
Noodle.
All right. So what's your 2B?
Are we done with fucking?
Or I mean,
New York State of Mind. I didn't even like have half my notes ready yet. So
what else you got?
We haven't got the second verse yet. The second verse is where it gets kind of interesting. It gets second verse, same as the first. He gets caught daydreaming here, right? This is the first time that we hear on the record where Nas says like, here's where I'm from. Here's my lifestyle. Here is what we have to do, but it's not who I am. Not. And like, here's how we know it's not him because he's daydreaming in the second verse. Like he's talking about things. He's talking about life outside the hood. But like it tells the story of like his aspirations as a kid and what he thinks like is worth chasing, but also accepting the ghetto lifestyle, and it's inevitable and escapable for the time being. But he gets snapped back into reality, right? With that same hook, with that same Donald Byrd, that same fucking that Tarantino fucking thing going on there. But it's cool because this is the first time we hear somebody talk about hood life that they don't like. They don't want to be a part of it, but they have to be a part of it. And that's something, dude. I don't know, man. That's something.
I agree. Once again, great songwriting, great, world building. Nas is fantastic. He's fucking great.
I think this New York State of Mind, like there's an argument to be made that this is like the best hip hop song of all time. Like you can make that argument. There are people out there that think that. I don't think that, but I also don't not think that.
Lyrically, maybe.
Not just that, though, but like the soundscape. It's dark. It's moody. It adds to the overall aesthetic of putting us into 80s, 90s New York life.
Like the beat itself just really kind of trudges along. It's like, it's just like, it's kind of slow, less than mid-tempo. It trudges along very dark and sludgy. I get it. I totally get that.
Dude, the opening, like straight out the fucking Dungeons of Rap. Like, dude,
that's a
just
line.
Like the grittiest, bleakest fucking thing you could possibly open. They're so dark. It's so dark. Straight out the fucking Dungeons of Rap.
Well, also this song was the one where like he didn't know how to start it. He didn't know how to start the verse. So like Premier was like, I think it was Premier, or maybe it was Pete Rock. I don't remember which one it was. But he was trying to like say like go now, like go now. It's like banging on the window and shit to start. And then Nas he was kind of like not flustered, but he just didn't know where to go. And that's what like they kept the scratch track in, even though it's not a scratch track. That's really, I mean, it's the
first rapping is a scratch
first
track.
Thought, best thought, right? John Feldman it. that's what this is. That's what that first verse is. Just kept it all in, baby.
I wonder, just I'm thinking this now in my mind.
Great place to think.
That would be crazy if you could somehow devise a time machine, and put people into other situations. Imagine putting Nas and then just pulling out like every producer he worked with. I'll pull out DJ Premier, pull out Q-Tip, and put John Feldman in there.
Oh my God.
Like, what would that sound like?
The whitest of white guys. Like John Feldman is the whitest of white guys.
Like you just took John Feldman in 1994, right? You took like good solid punker John Feldman 94. John Feldman was cool in 94.
Yeah, I agree. Sure. Yeah, he was. Yeah.
So like the aesthetic is still there. Still there. Fuck that. Like it'd be fun. It'd be fun to hear. You know, like Marvel has the what if thing where it's like, what if Captain America was
like they all had it.
Yeah. That would be cool. Dude, that'd be fucked. That's a good idea, dude. Someone should do that, not us.
How do what? Talk
I don't know, like what if in music? What if fucking John Feldman produced Illmatic? And then talk about it, like really dissect it, really get into it and think like here's what would have made like the record different in Nas's perspective versus John Feldman's perspective.
The thing with that is we don't have any experience in engineering and production and nothing like that. So it would just be as bullshitting and making fun of one of the two. So
yeah, which is all that's all people want to hear is who we're gonna make fun of. All right, no, that's it. So yeah, I got off my notes here.
Kind of went off the rails.
Let's see here. The break here when the chorus was supposedly thrown in there to help the listener digest the lyrics, which I think is actually brilliant, because when you add a break like that to help the listener digest the lyrics, you actually make the listener digest the lyrics. It's
not even to just digest the lyrics. It's to break up, the constant onslaught of the flow of the song. You know what I mean? That's why you have hooks. That's why you have
lyrics.
What?
Yeah, but like some of the greatest hip hop songs don't have hooks. Like we don't need. We don't always need hooks.
I know.
And things.
I'm not saying there's a hook in this, but you need that break. Like the break is generally the hook, but I mean you need a break between verses. You can't just go from one verse to the other. You need some sort of transition. You need the break. That's literally what it is. The break, the hook.
You
need something there.
Maybe sometimes you need something.
Almost every time you need something.
Sometimes
unless you're like no, you need something there.
Sometimes, not all the time.
Anyway, 0-2. New York State of Mind. Got anything else on this one?
No.
As you take a sip with all those fucking 10 limes in that glass.
There's like 4.
Like 10 limes in that glass.
5.
You just drink lime juice. That's what you do. You just drink lime juice at this point. Disgust. All right.
You don't say disgusting. You just say disgust.
Just say disgust. That's what Tammy does. And it annoys me a lot.
Is that a thing?
She'll look at something or I'll do something dumb and she'll go disgust. I won't even say disgusting. She's like
in real time generating fucking memes or something.
Or it's just like she's so disgusted at what I do that she can't even finish the word. Like disgust. Like that's disgust. Or she's just kind of a weirdo. But that's Tammy. I kind of like the whole like I'm not gonna even give you like the full word
conjugation of it. I'm just gonna present the word itself. What is disgust? Like an adjective, an adverb, disgust. Something is disgusting.
It's an adjective. Yeah, it's an adjective. Yeah.
That dude is disgusting. That dude is running.
Yeah.
That's not an adjective. That's like an adverb.
Yeah, that's an adverb. But disgusting is not an adverb. It's just an adjective. Is it? I don't know. Why are we talking about this? Who cares?
I'm sure Justin will let us know.
If he listens, I don't know. That's the thing with Justin, friend of the pod, Justin. I don't know if he listens because once every 3 or 4 months, he'll say something about whatever episode we did. He'll say something, we'll reply to it, and we'll never hear anything from him for another 3 or 4 months. So I don't know what he listens to, when he listens.
Yeah, I don't know either.
It's just so random. But he's our longest. He's our longest standing listener. He's listened to us since probably like episode 2 or 3 of the podcast.
That's wild.
Like it's crazy.
It's too long.
Yeah. He beat Skip.
Too long.
Yeah. You got competition, Skip. Anyway, New York State of Mind. We are off. I mean, 45 minutes. Yeah, 45 minutes into this. This is crazy. So let's get into another song. So yeah, New York State of Mind was my 1B. What do you got for your 2B? Let's just get into your top 3, and then we'll get into like your top 3 like deep, and then if I need to add anything, I'll add to it.
Okay. So like my top 3 are just 2, 3, 4. Not in that order, but just I think those 3 are the most important songs on the record.
Yeah, I would agree.
Life's a Bitch, blah, blah. And then The World Is Yours. Those are the 3 songs. Like this record is defined by those 3 songs.
Agreed.
But it's filled out by everything else.
I would agree that the first 3 songs I think are just fucking amazing. The other songs that would hit my banger list would be Memory Lane and then One Love with Q-Tip, because I think Q-Tip is one of the greatest. But let's get into Life's a Bitch. This features AZ, rapper AZ, and then his Nas's dad, Olu Dara. He plays the trumpet. He plays the trumpet during the outro of the song. His Nas's dad is an accomplished trumpet player, jazz trumpet player, and but not famous, but just like let's just say touring. He was a touring trumpet player.
Dude's been around. Dude's played with people. Dude has he got some stuff under his belt. Do you know what record he played on? Because you always try to find that record. Like, oh, I know that one. But he played on that James Blood Ulmer record that we both like.
I have it right here. It's right there. It's right behind me.
Yeah. Look at that, baby boy. That's it.
Yeah. Fucking love that record. That James Blood Ulmer record.
He played on that record.
No shit.
Yeah. He's there, dude.
No way.
Holy that's fun. That was like the wow record for me that I saw him play on.
Do you still have that record, by the way?
No.
Dude, I listened to it like a month ago. That record is so fucking amazing. That James Blood Ulmer record. And that was a random find. That was a random find for me too.
It's like a $5 to $8 record that I see constantly.
It's worth nothing.
It's like if I really want to listen to it, I'm pretty sure we have one in the store. So let's go listen to it tomorrow.
That was truly a gem I found too. I found it at Glass House Record Store. Found that record. I'm like, this cover looks kind of cool. This guy looks really cool. The guitar he's playing, what he's wearing is like, this could be really cool. It was like $5. I took it home and I was blown away. His guitar playing, it's like almost Omar Santana style guitar playing, but bluesier, jazzier.
Yeah,
crazy.
That's the big thing. It's like it's blues and jazz mixed together, and the way he like the whole. Yeah, you're right. The whole like color scheme and the aesthetic of the cover is fucking cool. The way he holds the guitar is fucking cool too, like a rock star.
He's using the big Gretsch guitar too, like the big like full body Gretsch guitar, like the Thunderbird guitar. I know you hate it.
Big fan of those guitars. But...
You hate them, but I mean they sound.
But he looks cool.
Yeah, those fucking. Was it Thunderbird? Wait, what are those fucking Gretches called? Maybe not Thunderbird. What am I thinking of? But you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, whatever. We're talking about Nas. 0-2.
Yeah. Anyway, Life's a Bitch, and then he die. Yeah, like AZ. People love AZ's verse here. To be honest,
it's better. It is better.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. His flow.
Okay.
I was very skeptical beforehand, but yeah, no, AZ's verse is definitely better.
Okay.
Dude, it's way more of an attack than, I mean, Nas is known for his attack, his wordplay and all that, but the way AZ went at it, it was way more gangster rap. It was way more aggressive. Just it hit way fucking harder than Nas. But then also it's like the way I look at it is like AZ threw down the verse first. And then Nas is like, damn, dude, that's really good. Like, why would I even try to be better than that? So he just kind of laid back, because Nas had the second verse, and I feel like he just kind of like sat back and was like, I'm gonna do my thing, but not try to beat AZ. Like, he did so well. I'm not gonna try to outshine him. Like, this is his time. This is spotlight on the song, and I think that comes down to Nas's like him being humble and wanted his friends to succeed and give them the limelight or the spotlight, whatever it is.
And honestly, that's pretty fucking wild. It's like, this is like AZ's big break into like music, right? And you're on my record, on my debut record, and it's not like Nas is just this up and comer and no one's ever heard of him. He drops his record but loves it, right? It's not like he's tenured and has 5 records out and he can put this out and people are gonna love it. people were like waiting for Nas. People were waiting for years for Nas, like 3 years almost.
Yeah,
people were waiting for Nas to be the messiah of hip hop in New York, to be this fucking god of hip hop in New York. And you let this guy, this unknown dude, have the first verse on like the second biggest song on your record. That's humble.
And even he's AZ or Az or I would say AZ or Az. I don't even know.
I thought it was AZ.
That's what I've been saying too. You know, he was saying that like he knew he flat out said, I know I'm not nearly as good as Nas. I don't know why he let me be on this record, but I'm the only one that's really featured on this entire record. Yeah. And I'm like truly humbled by it. And he's like, he flat out said, I'm not good. I'm not a good MC, but I tried my best. And I'm the only one on this record. Outside of Nas, I'm the only one on here. That's crazy. It's fucking crazy.
I think like for me, it's just reading how much people love his verse. And like I think Talib Kweli said it was like his favorite of all time. And I personally don't think it's as good as Nas's. I don't like it as much as Nas, but I think it's kind of like that set me up and let me spike it down type of thing, where like you can't spike it down unless someone sets it up.
I don't think this is the best verse on the record. I think just in the context of this song, I think it's the better verse out of the two. Because Nas has the better verses throughout this entire record. But just in this particular song,
but even this song, it's straightforward, right? It's about making the most of your time here because we're all going to fucking die. And it doesn't really get outside that box. And that's a cool box to be in because not all rappers talk about like death and how like everything we do here on earth is fucking meaningless because we're just going to die anyway. But like Nas's verse tells us about like the gritty world inside the ghetto, even more than like he's not glorifying the crimes, but he's sort of acknowledging them as part of like the life. And that's again, going to the common theme here, the recurring theme. We also see him again, look toward a future outside of the hood, tells us that his money should have been working for him more so than just buying alcohol, even so much that he says like, dude, I could have bought a lotto ticket and that could have changed my life more than this fucking bottle of liquor. Yeah. And like that small little line right there shows us that Nas does not want to be a part of this life, but he has to be.
He does.
Like 3 tracks deep.
Like the Nas's verse in this is very much introspective. He's great. Like he starts the whole verse off. The first like 4 or 5 lines are very introspective, optimistic, for his future and everything. But then as his verse goes on, you see him go back to his old ways. Like, well, this is actually what I do. This is what I should be doing in the neighborhood, in the hood. This is everything. Like he just falls back into his his old ways every fucking day. So the verse, his verse is just this endless cycle of I wake up happy, positive, optimistic, but then I realize how shitty my environment is. And I have to fall back into it all. So it's like this Groundhog's Day.
Exactly.
It's this Groundhog's Day.
Imagine your life, right? You wake up, you're like, fuck, man, fuck this place. Fuck these people. I fucking hate my friends. I hate doing this. And you go out there, right? And you're whatever the fuck they do in the hood for the next 3, 4, 5, 6 hours of your day. Yeah. By lunchtime, you're kind of like, damn, man, there's got to be something more here. But by nightfall, right? Light goes out, brain goes out. Moon goes down, brain goes down. So by nightfall, like you go back into your old ways. So it's this little fucking like bell curve where it's like this is the common denominator here of just hood life, and up here is the more esoteric kind of thing. And like that's all of Nas's songs. It's just it starts off shitty, it gets into like, dude, there's gotta be something more, and it ends with shittiness because that's life, dude.
That is, dude.
That's what I have to do. That's how I have to survive.
Yeah. Once again, I mean, this is the song with his dad who plays the trumpet on it. Can you imagine if like the entire record was more jazz influenced and how much, I would say, better this record would have been?
No, you can't. No,
I don't know, man.
Because the jazz, just like Low End Theory, just like anything the Native Tongues have ever done, just like anything Tribe's ever done.
Low End Theory is
that's why,
like production.
That's why this record. See, but that's why like the whole like concept of like what is hip hop? What are we doing with hip hop? Why is this better than that? this is kind of like giving my wrap up here, but like the reason you can't do that is because the jazz undercuts the message. It undercuts the message here, and the message
For the
is
layman's, it's just
we are suffering. We are suffering. We are having a horrible time. Our lives are garbage. Here is what we are living through.
I get it.
You cannot add anything to this. You can only take away from this to make it better.
In the end, it comes down to my own preference. I think what Tribe does with Low End Theory and Midnight Marauders, with all the jazz influence of what Q-Tip was doing production wise,
it's great music.
I think it's one of the best, just some of the coolest music shit in fucking,
not hip hop.
Yes,
not hip hop. That's not what hip hop is.
That's what hip hop evolved into. What, are you kidding me?
No, it did not evolve into that. It did not start that way. It did not evolve into that. It did not. That's not the point of hip hop.
I know it's part of it. Yeah, but once again, the production of Q-Tip and Tribe is, to me, a lot better than what we hear on Illmatic. I love Illmatic. I love this record, but in the end, like if you hear,
we're comparing two different things here. It's like the production of Zeppelin 2 is not as great as the production of Dark Side of the Moon, right? Like different things, but we're trying to.
It's a different band.
Fucking Tribe Called Quest and Nas are different bands.
No, I get. Okay, I
like they're trying to achieve different things. They're achieving different things.
That's another thing with hip hop, which is always kind of like, I guess it's always kind of thrown me off from the genre, is that you'll have the artist of Nas. In this example, you have Nas, and you'll have three different sets of not just three different producers, but three different sets. So you have your Q-Tip, you have DJ Premier, you have
Large Professor, you have LES.
Yes. So you've got these different guys, and it kind of makes the record, I don't want to say it's not disjointed, but there's no true identity to the record. And it's like, unless you have somebody like a group like Tribe, where it's Q-Tip, Phife Dawg, was Arabian Prince? Was that?
No, that was West Coast. It was Q-Tip, Phife Dawg.
Oh yeah, Arabian Prince is NWA. What am I thinking? Yeah.
Names I don't.
But anyway, but you know what? You understand what I'm saying. It's like you get this cohesiveness throughout the entire record, which I feel like most of, like, not pop hip hop, but like mainstream hip hop suffers from not having that. There, it's just like, oh, I want to work with this guy. Just at that point, it's a mixtape. It's not an album. It's not a record. It's not cohesive. And that's essentially what that is.
This comes from like, for lack of a better phrase, this comes like, well, that's like privilege, dude. Is I can just like work whoever the fuck I want to work with. Or like, again, like, hold on there, dude, because like, hold on there, dude, because like a lot of these guys met in college. Like, where did Flava Flav and Chuck D meet? They've been in college.
Yeah.
How do you get to fucking college? You don't get to college murdering dudes and being in and out of jail for fucking 20 years. No, that's what makes Illmatic different. Is he can't just have a producer. He can't just have a producer that works with him constantly. So that's, because that's not the way it works.
But that's
not the way it works.
But that's where you're wrong. Because
that's not where I'm wrong.
With Nas, that's where you're wrong. Because Nas,
because
when Nas went to go record this record, he was flat out told, choose whoever you want to work with on the record. He chose.
No, that's not true.
Bullshit.
That's not true.
He was given. Given the option of.
He was not given anything.
He was
asked, and he sought out these people, and he said, here is what I want to do. Here is what I want to do. Here is my message. Do you want to work with me?
And that's
they could have said no. They didn't say no because they all realized that this dude is bigger than me.
That I can make a little bit of money off of Nas.
Come on, guy.
You never know.
They're not making money. Low End Theory didn't make a ton of money. P-Rock didn't make a fucking ton of money off Mecca.
But also
DJ Gangstar wasn't making any money.
Okay, you're getting a little crazy here. But also,
nobody's making money here.
Also, in this era of hip hop, this very specific year of hip hop,
Illmatic's not making money today.
This very specific era of hip hop, you saw these guys see that you saw. Okay, so the scene saw that Nas was up and coming, like he was meant for great things in hip hop. So all these guys were like, I gotta not latch myself to Nas, but I gotta try to get on in Nas's circle. And that's what they were trying to do. They were trying to court themselves to Nas.
I think it's hard.
But also, once again, we're just some random white dudes. So what the fuck do we know?
I think it's hard coming from the outside
to
think that like, oh, because like Rick Rubin and because like Phil Spector, they all attach themselves to big projects and like they make historic records for the sake of money and history.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Hold on, dude, because hip hop's a little bit different. Hip hop is about this is their music, dude. This is their music, and they do it the way they want to fucking do it.
I agree.
And they do, and most of these guys do not give a shit. And like we've been watching the hip hop doc, dude. Like the ones I've watched thus far, nobody gives a fuck. Who cares? When they give a fuck about making money? This is hip hop. This is his music. He says constantly, "This is my music. This is music for my people." Like I don't give a fuck if we make money or not. Movies. All these guys, they don't give a shit if they make a bunch of money. So no, when Nas is coming up and when he's saying like, "Hey, I want hey Q, like I want you to be like a producer on my record," Q-Tip could have said like, "Nah, dude, there's no money in this." But like, no, he said, no, I like what you're fucking saying. And I like how you're saying it. I want to be a part of this because it's not just about making money. It's not just about making a record that people are going to listen to. It's about fulfilling like something that is bigger than myself, something that is bigger than just being in the music scene, right? This is like a movement. There's fucking entire like religion based off of this thing, dude. There's like
I get it.
An entire thing going on. This is so much bigger than just I want to make money. Like, no, not at all. In any capacity.
But it's okay. Maybe money was not the right way to put it, but they wanted the street cred. So when it comes down to there's always going to be there's always going to be competition, and you're gonna collaborate with somebody who you feel is going to take you to that next level. Is going to give you more cred, street cred, whatever it may be, money,
street cred,
whatever it may be. That's really what it comes down to. Like
that doesn't always coincide with money.
I know, like I said. When I said money, that was kind of the wrong way of putting it. But like in this instance or this kind of scene time, it was a lot of it was about street cred. So it's like you're not going to get some DJ working with some whack MC and vice versa. That's just not going to happen. They're going to want to link up with the best of each other, and that's where you get some of the greats.
Yeah,
that's what it comes down to.
Because the whack MCs don't get fucking deals. The whack MCs don't make it out of the little ciphers that we talked about in the rankings episode. The whack MCs don't make it past the mic. If you suck, if nobody fucking likes you, past the mic, bro, you're done. You're out of here. Goodbye. Like this is an up and coming genre that we don't have time for bullshit.
Yes. So
motherfucker.
Life's a bitch.
And then you die, motherfucker, die. The road is yours. Yeah, dude. Killer song. This is P Rock. Again, quite sought after in the this era of hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
So this is cool. Nas verse is really good. I like it. A lot of internal rhymes, multi-syllabic rhymes going on here. The first verse is strictly like his infatuation with rap and making money. And I love when he says he wants like presidents to represent him, because this is just this is kind of a way to transition into like the upper echelon of hip hop here. Is it's very, very making money. I want to be popular. I want to be rich. I want to make a fuck ton of money. I want presidents to represent me. And then you hear like the back and forth, like, what? He said, I want presidents to represent me. And like, what? He says, oh, sorry. I want dead presidents to represent me. It's like, oh, I get it now. Like you want to just make money. Like you don't actually think that these presidents represent you. And then this is something that will take into hip hop and like Run the Jewels, right? Like they take the same concept and like why are all your slave masters posing on your dollar type of thing? Like this is a concept that is still relevant today. That as far as I'm concerned, and I know, like this is Nas's concept, not Nas's concept. This is the first time we've heard it on hip hop. Yeah, it's kind of Nas's concept. We've never heard like
I don't heard like a black person. You know better than me.
We never heard like a black dude say like, oh yeah, I want like dead presidents. You know, like I mean, I think KRS One did it, but like representing him is the big thing here. Then that was like that back and forth. He said, I want presidents to represent me. And like, no, like I don't want presidents. I want dead presidents to represent me. And that was a good spike. No, what is it called? I don't play volleyball. Set and spike.
Set and spike. Yeah. That
was a good set and spike. That was good. Yeah. By the time we get to the third verse, though, have you met Ted? You hate How I Met Your Mother, huh?
I don't like
met Ted.
Show's awful. That show's awful.
But Oh, dude, it's not awful,
Well,
but that's all right.
well,
By the time we get to the third verse here, though, like he's a lot more pessimistic about the idea of like whose world is this, right? While thinking like his impact on the world won't be anything more than just a distant memory, like fading into obscurity. And this is a very mortal concept that the older you get, I feel like we think about it more. And people die, and parents die, and grandparents die. You think like, damn, like in 100 years from now, who the fuck is going to know about us? Who the hell is going to care about us? Who's going to care about Ask9 Radio in 100 years?
We're going to live on
1,000
forever.
years.
As long as the internet exists, this is going to be on the internet. I don't give a fuck.
But that's wild. That's a very
this is our legacy.
That's mortal, dude. That's mortal, man. And Nas is talking about it here, and then in the fourth track on this record, the world is yours, and he's saying like, no, it's not. Like, you are nobody, nothing, nowhere. What was it? Nobody,
no,
nothing.
No, I think it's nobody, nothing, nowhere.
Nobody, nothing, nowhere. Yeah, that's what it is.
The Rage song. All right, so lyrically, I do like so there's the three other verses. They all talk about, obviously, is the way he views life and everything like that. I guess I kind of took it in a more literal sense. So like the first verse is about his how hip hop, his whole life is hip hop. Like he grew up in the scene, and like everything about him and Queensbridge is hip hop. Going on to the corner, what is it? How do you say it? You go in a cipher, or you cipher? How is?
I think the cipher is the group.
The cipher is the group, and then everybody. But see,
you join like the cipher.
Okay,
but then also like the cipher as it relates to what the fuck do they call? What's their little religion thing? The little religion. Like what's their? It's not the Nation of Islam. It's some weird, the 5%er thing. That whole nation.
Yeah.
Whatever the fuck that is.
I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about, but I don't remember the exact name of it.
Yeah. I think there's a different cipher involved in that, and that's a whole nother like thing too that Nas discusses throughout the course of this record is his religious upbringings and aspects, and what he believes and doesn't believe, and what he thinks is fucking bizarre and weird. It has to be a part of. Yeah, his whole 5% thing. I don't understand what the fuck that thing is. But
I didn't do a deep dive into it, but and then the second verse talks about the neighborhood, how dangerous it is, how the only way to survive is to deal drugs and just essentially be a gangbanger and all that kind of stuff. And then but by the end of it, he talks about it's a little bit more hopeful, optimistic, talking about like if he has kids, like he wants them to get out of the neighborhood, do something better for themselves, do something better than what he's done. So it's a very optimistic approach. And then the third verse is more like his depression, kind of anxiety coming in, saying how like life is really dark here, and I can only take so much of it. I wish like the cloud, the depression, the pressures would come off of me and go to somebody else. Like I'm just sick of it. It's what I grew up with, and that's all I know, but I can only take so much of it. I wish the pressure would be taken off of me. So it's like there's so many layers to this song. There's so much he talks about. I think this is like just a fantastic introspective take on his life or on his feelings. I mean, mind you, he was 20 years old when this record came out. So I mean, he doesn't have he has a lot of life experiences because of where he grew up, but he's also 20 years old. So
I mean, it's again like going back to the idea of like, dude, this guy and a lot of these guys, their childhood was straight up robbed. Like they did not even get a child. They were not allowed to be children. They were not allowed to be innocent. They were probably 4 years old and then became barbaric and became survivalist. And that's fucking wild. And that's the concept that we get to explore with Nas throughout this record. He fucking hates it. He hates it. He resents it.
He resents it, but then he also looks back on it with nostalgia because that's all he knows. But that also shows because he was so young when this record came out and he wrote this record, you also see kind of like, I don't say naive, but you see this kind of this lack of life, this lack of maturity in Nas, because it's like he's 20 years old. He was a kid. Yeah, I understand he was robbed of his childhood, all that kind of stuff, but he still hasn't seen life outside of the projects. You know what I mean? There's so much more to the world and life than just the
he hasn't
project.
been robbed of his adulthood yet, like everybody else has.
Yeah. So I mean, in the end, this record comes down to a very young person, a kind of immature and naive person, and that's not a disrespect to him. That's just what that was his life up until this point. But it's a very narrow, small, not narrow, that's not the right word. It's a very small view of life.
Yeah.
It's a very small,
that's what makes his fucking record absolutely phenomenal, is core memories that we have growing up, right? Core memories that allowed us to be who we are today. They're usually good memories. Like he doesn't have that. He was robbed of those things. He was like literally robbed of these fucking core memories. Right? You have your core memories of
I know. Yeah.
Christmas dinners and fucking birthdays and soccer games. Like, dude, he fucking didn't have any of that shit. So it's like, it's a very narrow kind of like view of where I'm at right now in life at 20 years old. But it's also kind of like, damn, dude, this guy's already doomed. Like if had he died young like Tupac, no one would have been. Everyone like, oh, I get it. Yeah, like you grew up in the projects, you released Illmatic, and you died young. I get it for sure. Mm-hmm. Like the fact that he survived is fucking wild.
Yeah, it is. It really, really, really is. But also, he wasn't like, once again, the little bit I know about Tupac, but the things that I have seen and read over the last week and over my lifetime, Tupac was kind of a dick. Like Nas didn't come off like as an arrogant kind of dick.
Tupac wasn't a dick. Tupac just fucking hated bullies. That's what it is. Tupac hated bullies. Tupac just look at his parents. But also
Tupac didn't know how to. He didn't know how to. What am I trying to say? He didn't know how to pick the right battles in life. He just literally fought everybody, and that was because his parents were Black Panther, all that kind of stuff. Especially his dad was like hardcore into that.
Tupac really fought everybody. Yeah, he didn't give a fuck.
But that was
when it came time.
He didn't choose the right battles. He chose every
the whole
battle.
like sexual harassment thing, dude. Like that destroyed him.
Yeah,
and I don't know
when he went to jail and shit.
I don't know if he did it or if he didn't do it, but like, I want to like glorify Tupac and put him on a pedestal and think that he didn't do anything wrong. I don't know, but it really did destroy him. And he talked about it till like the day he died, how he was innocent and how he did not do those things.
Nah.
So I don't know. But like that really did destroy Tupac. So it's tough. But Tupac really didn't become a gangster until Suge bailed him out. That's when Tupac became a gangster.
Yeah.
And it was after the shooting. It was after he thought Biggie set him up. It was after. Dude, come on, man!
Suge got in his mind. He manipulated.
You're in New York, dude. You're at like Biggie's studio. Like P. Diddy's there. Like the biggest names in New York with like the biggest entourages, the biggest security. And he gets shot a bunch of times. I don't know, dude. Come on. What am I supposed to think?
Yeah.
Know what I'm saying? Dude, Tupac is just, I'm full back into Tupac now. I'm in Tupac season.
And we're not even talking, we're talking about Nas. So
I know we're talking about Nas. Let's get into, let's at least get into One Love. Cause I know we got some notes on One Love, right?
Yeah. The Q-Tip song. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, you love this song.
I do. I do like you knock me for it, but Q-Tip is like one of the top producers of the 90s. Like hands down he is. Get out of here. Get better than your RZA. I honestly think he's better than RZA. RZA's fantastic, don't get me wrong. I prefer Q-Tip. And also Q-Tip is he's a better rapper than RZA in the end too.
Yeah.
Like hands down he is. But
not a better producer.
Okay. I disagree with you on that.
You're crazy. Q-Tip's not even the top fucking 10. Purdue. Let's just this is nip this in the butt right here, the butthole real quick, okay? So you think Q-Tip's? You said he's top 5 in the 90s?
I didn't say he was top 5. I just said he's one of the top producers. I didn't say what number. I said
so it could be top 100. Yeah, you're right. 100%. Okay, you're right. He's top 100.
So you're jumping to conclusions here. You're just trying to be fussy.
He's not better than Dre. So let's get that under wraps,
stupid.
Right?
No, that's dumb.
Your boy Rick Rubin. He's not better than Rick Rubin, right? Because you think Rick Rubin is God. He's not better than him.
No, I prefer.
He's not better than RZA. That's silly boy talk.
Okay.
He's not better than Pete Rock. He's not better than DJ Premier. Just on this fucking record, he's not even the best producer on this record.
No, I disagree. But anyway,
you're crazy.
I think Q-Tip. I think he brings something unique and different from what everybody else is doing. just the samples that he brings to the table. They're a little offbeat, not offbeat. Just, I guess offbeat's the best way to put it. They're just a little bit weird. A little bit, the vibes that he brought to the song.
Literally brought a jazz musician on this record. Like, what are you talking about?
I know, obviously in the other song, not this song, but the samples and what he brought to the song to make it stand out from the entire rest of the record. Like, this is true. Like I said earlier in the episode, this is the true standout of the entire record. Is this song.
This song right here?
Yes, I think so. Not the best. It's not the best.
It's just because it sounds like Midnight Marauders. It's because it sounds like that,
which is a better
it's just a little bit spookier.
Which, you know, from a beat production sound wise, I think Midnight Marauders, Low End Theory, is better sounding than this particular record. And that's just my
they're
own.
Going for two.
That's just
your preference is stupid. That's stupid. They're going for two different things. That's like, this cheeseburger doesn't taste like a pizza. I don't like it. That's what you're fucking saying here. Those are two different records that are achieving two different things. They're going for two different aesthetics. Midnight Marauders is going for something totally different thing. Because you're saying, oh, Midnight Marauders sounds like a better fucking record than this. Bitch, it's not supposed to sound like a good record. It's supposed to sound gritty and gross and nasty and unpolished and unfinished. That's the point of this record. The point of Midnight Marauders is supposed to be polished. It's supposed to be their third record. It's supposed to be doing something great. Of course it's gonna sound fucking different. Like, what are you kidding me over here? Get the fuck out of here, Day.
Once again, had he worked with producers like Q-Tip or Q-Tip the entire record, it would have been
would not have been as great. It would not. It would not have been. No, this would have been polished. This would have been. This would not have been as gritty. This would have been silly. This would have been campy, because all of Tribe's music is campy. All of it is campy. Campy.
I think from like a mainstream aspect, pop aspect.
That's not hip hop, dude. But keep going.
Let me finish. I think Q-Tip would have done better in that. I think he's better at writing more mainstream hip hop.
Of course.
I think it's better. I prefer it better. I don't.
You like pop music. You're a pop guy now. Ever since the Alkaline Tree episode, you become a pop guy. You become a ballad man, and you become a pop guy. I get it.
I do like Illmatic. I get it. I like Illmatic the way it is. I really, really do.
It's just too aggressive for you. I get it. I get it. You want a more polished sound.
Once again,
let's get Feldy, baby. Let's get Feldy in here. Let's polish it up, baby.
I get why a lot of people, you know, in the Black community, in the projects and all that kind of stuff, they really they get this record, like when it comes to the production.
It's not just fucking blacks and projects. It's everybody that enjoys hip hop. The outside of, like, I want to hear Travis Barker fucking produce a new Blink record and have it polished. Like, get the fuck out of here. I want you to get up and walk out that door.
What door?
There it is. Oh my God, my finger looks so long. Ew.
Yeah, it looks good.
Oh my God. Do you see that?
People watching the video, yeah, they probably.
Holy shit! Did you really see that though?
I did see it. I'm watching.
Put your finger up to the thing.
No, I'm not gonna. This is stupid.
I'm curious now. Is it like? Why is it like that? Is it like a fisheye thing?
That?
See, that doesn't look that long. Do you think my finger looks really long?
I don't. This is so weird. This is just fucking weird.
Come on, that looks really long. Does it not look really long?
I don't know. I think we're ending we're nearing the end here. We're nearing the end here. Let's give our final thoughts on this Nas record.
Do you not think? Come on, do you not think that looks really long? Look at that right there.
Yeah, it's a fucking finger. It's not really.
It looks like a normal finger to you.
It looks like a normal finger to me. Yes.
Yes. You have not seen a lot of fingers.
Well, let's wrap it up. This is such a dumb thing to say. Let's wrap it up. We've talked a lot about Nas, the scene in general.
Man,
prior to this, we spent over an hour talking about 90s hip hop.
Dude, One Love though, right? It's a whole open letter to just how horrible his life is and how he doesn't want it to be like that. But like, you can't help. I'm just gonna ignore everything you said and just keep talking. You can't help but think of Eminem's Stan, right? Like the song Stan, which I think is one of the best hip hop songs of all time. Love it. Funnily enough, though, Nas calls Jay-Z a Stan in one of Nas's songs, Ether from Stillmatic. Which Stillmatic, if you're not tired of hip hop season, Stillmatic is close. Fucking really, really, really goddamn good.
But that was like his return to form with Stillmatic.
People, some circles would say that Stillmatic is better than Illmatic. Okay. I don't think that, just because I think that when you release the first one the first time and it's that aggressive, I guess we can go into my record wrap up.
Yeah,
now. Do you have anything else?
No. Let's do that. Let's wrap it up. Let's give our final thoughts on the record and then rate the record based off of our world famous 3-point rating system, where 3 is a perfect album, 2 is a good album you're going to continue to listen to. 1 is a bad album, give it a shot, and 0 is the worst thing you've ever heard. So what do you got, Jeff? Go.
It's the whole screen though. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't understand.
Okay, your finger's just close to the camera. What?
That's weird.
Okay, so look at that. Oh, okay, look at. Who cares?
Well, I don't know. I don't know what you're doing over there. You're just being weird.
I'm being weird, yes.
Yeah, you're the weirdo. I think, man, this is
wrap it up.
This
or like I brought this up to Tammy a little while ago. She was talking, and I started going like that.
Oh God!
And I said,
"I'm sure she loved that."
And then I told her that's what Jeff used to do to Pat all the time whenever we would hang out with him.
You had to.
You had to go like that.
You had to.
And she thought it was so funny. She thought it was so.
We gotta
funny.
go. Like, bro, you know what I mean? Like, we gotta go.
Because we all know Pat. That's how Pat, or anybody who knows us knows Pat Connolly.
Dude, love Pat.
Love Pat, but
dude, you gotta, you know what I mean? You gotta wrap it up, bro.
Oh, he's so funny. He's so funny.
Yeah, I think hip hop has gone through many iterations, and it's still going through some today. And we're in this weird like TikTok little peep fucking era of hip hop that is, man, borderline atrocious.
That's just your opinion, man.
Dude, it's something. It's something, dude. So when we look back on the 90s, the biggest thing to come out of the 90s is the East Coast versus West Coast beef. It is the Tupac and Biggie. It is that, right? And why did that happen? That happened because West Coast was dominating. West Coast was absolutely dominating the charts. And we get a guy like Tupac that's from the West Coast or the East Coast, moves to NorCal, which is not SoCal, not even fucking close. Might as well be East Coast because NorCal is garbage.
It's like a 10-hour drive if you're lucky.
Yeah. Through like a really nice part, but boring, of California into like a shitty part of California, but not quite like northern enough to be into another really, really cool part of California.
There's a really small, tiny, shitty part of California that is northern.
Sorry,
California.
Justin, but the Bay Area is garbage. I don't even fucking care.
I agree. It's
1,000
Oakland,
apologies.
I've been to Oakland a lot over the last 5 years, and Oakland is just one of the worst cities I've ever been to. Oakland is a terrible city. I fucking hate that
Oakland, city. Frisco, Stockton, Lodi. Hold on. So anyway, we're getting into the 90s here, right? And there's this back and forth of what is selling records and like the Chronic is great and Dre is great and Ruthless Records is great and everything that is happening in West Coast is great, but it's not, honestly, it's not hip hop. And this is through a different lens, right? Like take it for what it's worth. I don't think the Chronic is hip hop. I think that is the commercialization, the bastardization of hip hop. I think that if you truly got like DJ Kool Herc, if you got like Grandmaster Caz, if you got these old school guys in a room and said, "Is this hip hop?" They'd be like, "Nah, dude, this is just
okay."
There's no difference.
That's not a fair comparison,
hold on, dude.
Because you're throwing East Coast rappers.
This is a wrap up here,
dude. You're throwing East Coast rappers saying like they're not going to like gangster rap.
This is your words.
Get out of here.
Your words, and I want you to look at. Are you looking? I want you to eat them and just save them for later.
The disrespectful.
Or put them in your pocket. Fuck it. Put them in your pocket for later. I think I just don't think gangster rap in the capacity of the Chronic. I think NWA is a necessary record. I don't think the Chronic was a necessary record in the evolution of hip hop because it's not what it's about. It's not. I think it ended up being that way, but I don't think that was their intent. I think their intent was just to make fucking money and fuck bitches, and that was it. That's not what hip hop is about. So when Illmatic comes out, this is the telling of a story that not only do people outside of like New York don't understand, but really, unless you like grew up fucking dirt poor, unless you grew up like black, you do not understand what the fuck is happening in New York in these inner cities, in these projects. And you can just fucking Google pictures of projects and tell me that's not a fucking prison.
No,
tell me that's not. You know what I mean?
It.
And that's why I like the Ghetto Boys so much. That's why I like the Ghetto Boys so much, because as much as their name implies, dude, these guys are ghetto, dude. These guys are fucking like eating nothing for dinner. Like these guys are poor, and they're not just like New York poor, where like Nas can like sell drugs and shit. But like Ghetto Boys were fucking poor, like Fourth Ward poor as shit in Houston. And so I like the progression of hip hop. I like the progression of rap. I like the storytelling of rap. And that's really what it is. It's black people's folk. And they're just taking them back. And I get it. And I like it.
I agree.
That's it.
So what would you rate this?
I love Bob Dylan. I love me some Bob Dylan. I think he is the greatest, because I'm gonna tell you right now. I think he's the greatest songwriter of all time. Nas is the Black Bob Dylan.
Wow.
He's the Black Bob Dylan.
It's not saying a lot. I mean, that's a little disrespectful to Nas.
That's wild, dude. But Bob Dylan's the greatest songwriter of all fucking time. Get the fuck out of here.
Okay. I think that's disrespectful towards Nas, but okay.
Yeah, we're only doing bangers in hip hop season. We did Takes a Nation, which is something that is just it's on on a scale of like 1 to whatever the fuck it is. When something is not even, when it's so important that you can't even put it on that scale, it's not unscalable, but there's a specific word.
I don't know.
Whatever it is. But yeah, Nas Illmatic is also on that scale. It's undefinable.
Untouchable?
It's
untouchable by Korn. By Korn, yes. What?
It's undefinable. It's undefinable because of how important. Honestly, I think this record is so important to hip hop. It's not my favorite. It's not even like my second favorite 90s hip hop record, but I think it's so undefinably important to the progression of hip hop and storytelling and getting my voice out there.
Mm-hmm.
That it's, yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I get it. I get what you're saying. So what would you rate it? Perfect 3 out of 3? 3 is a perfect album?
Yeah, I think I have.
2 is a good album?
Better than a 3. It's better than a 3.
2 is a good album you're going to continue to listen to. 1 is a bad album, give it a shot.
Like Toy Patch is a 3. You know what I mean? Like fucking the Mark, Tom, and Travis show is a 3 out of 3. Like to say Illmatic is a 3 is just.
I get it.
You know what I mean?
All right. So my final thoughts. I think this record is very, very influential in hip hop altogether. I think the rawness of it all, the production of it all is very important. It's not always my thing, but I understand its importance in hip hop. Nas being as young as he was, as great of an MC as he was, and how much influence he had on the New York scene was unreal. It was insane. And especially at this time in 94, when Gangsta Rap was so big, he took it to a very personal, introspective level. I think up to this point, there was really nothing quite like Illmatic, and that's what sets it apart from most other hip hop artists, even to this day, like you said. We talked about a lot of shit already, and with that, I'll give this a perfect 3 out of 3. I think this is a perfect record, hands down, perfect record. It's not my favorite hip hop record, but what it did for the scene and overall, it's fucking fantastic. You can't deny that. You cannot deny that this is not a perfect album. It really, truly
can't deny it. Can't pretend.
I think I'm gonna sing Turnstile, but that's okay. Anyway, so yeah, perfect 3 out of 3 from both of us. Nas, Illmatic. Next week we are getting into the 2000s, 2000 to 2009. We decided on what we're doing. Did we? I think we did. I guess we'll talk about it after the pod. We're going to do Pitbull, but that's okay. Yeah, we'll do Pitbull.
What? We're doing Pitbull?
We're doing Pitbull.
Did we decide? Okay. All right.
We're doing Pitbull.
Okay.
For hip hop season in the 2000s. So thank you all for listening. Go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, give us 5 stars. Tell your friends, share all the posts, smash that subscribe button on YouTube, and that's it. That's all.